I should probably record this in case we make this into a video, but I probably will have to go over this again if I want to make a video, because otherwise it will be way too long. Did you add more figurines in front of your beds? I did. I mean, it's kind of hard to like see. This is like a this thing that's attached to a raw dog, like here, down here. Fuck, it's so hard here. It's like a titan thingy. And the one here is Lemillion from My Hero Academia, but you can't see it. Alright, so those are the buffs that are gonna be happening in Renegades. It's a pretty strange article, because there are many buffs, and most of them are like kind of whatever slash QOL, and then there are a couple that are like completely insane power creep, like zero logic applied. So it's an interesting patch. It will make for, you know, I guess new strategies, but probably in a bad way, if I had to guess. Like, I don't know if it's gonna add a lot of variety the way they've done it, but I'm gonna go over it anyways. I should probably remove the music, I'm not sure. Anyways, maybe not. We can go to orbit, I guess, but let's go. Okay. So, first of all, they're changing priority on the ad for like buffs. And cool, but like they probably aren't even able to tell what should be high, what should be low priority. They definitely haven't so far. So again, just let us get more buffs visible. Like, it's not that deep. I don't care if they think it's too visual cluttering. Like, they should allow us to have an option to have more buffs. Doing like a priority update is mostly a waste of time. Maybe not a waste of time, because, you know, there can be new players that can benefit from that, but that's not the solution to the problem. Now, new gear bonus updates, they have said this in the past. Now it's gonna be standardized to 5% damage, 2% TR per piece. So it won't rely on the tier anymore, which is extremely good, because up until now, anything that was in the tier 5 was an instantaneous shard. Even in case it was a god roll weapon, because it just did not matter. Like, you didn't want to do less damage for fun, right? So, good change. Again, the best change would be to get rid of the system altogether. But we're getting there. We went from 15% to 10% to 5%, because, you know, they keep noticing how bad the system is, and they keep, like, reducing the effectiveness of it. Eventually, maybe we will get to a point where it's fully gone. It's at least already fully gone on exotics, so that's pretty good. Stasis freeze. Now, they changed how it apparently scaled with ammo types. I didn't even know that was a thing, by the way. I don't know if that's a nerf or a buff. I will assume it's a nerf, but I'm not sure. Like, I don't know if a rocket sidearm was freezing with an higher multiplier than another weapon. And then they made it so, you know, certain weapons that weren't doing 10% extra to frozen targets now are, because I guess specials are meant to do that. Kind of whatever. So, here, I don't even know exactly what they're doing. I think they are like kind of reworking or recoding Disorient. Like, this is a back-end change. I don't think this actually changes anything on how all those things that are listed perform. That's basically just the blind, but not the arc blind, you know? Like, the arc blind is gonna still be a different thing, as far as I understand. Because, like, for example, they're saying Elmo Saint 14 won't become disorient, but it also won't change. And they wanna do something different to this exotic, so they have a rework planned. Okay. And they're saying Touch of Malice, Darkness Bolt will continue to be its own debuff with a unique screen effect. Against combatants, this will continue to arc blind as normal. The Touch of Malice won't disorient, it will arc blind. I didn't even know it did that. That's crazy. I actually didn't know. Anyways. They are doing some changes on the ammo system. They're introducing scout mods, which are the mods that spawn a brick for your teammates when you make a brick. By the way, this is crazy. Like, this is crazy. Scout mods were so good. And it's probably a good thing that they are in the game, because they allow you to play for your team. If you want to be the ad clear and farm ammo for them, they allow this, and I think that's good. But the biggest change here by far is this one. Ability assists will now generate a small amount of ammo meter progress. So the way it worked up until now, because unless memory fails me, but I tested this before Desert Perpetual. The way this worked was, if you hit an enemy, a given enemy, with any weapon damage, that enemy was eligible for an assist, basically. So, like, if that enemy died to your teammate in any way, whether that's an ability, whether that's a weapon, if you hit him with a weapon, you will get an assist that I think scaled with your ammo generation stat. Even if after hitting the enemy with a weapon, you did hit the same enemy with an ability, it will still count as if you hit the enemy with the weapon. Now though, if you never hit a certain enemy with a weapon, and you only hit an enemy with an ability, like Jolt, for example, or you throw a grenade and like hit marker, whatever, that didn't give you any progress when the enemy died if you weren't the one giving the final blow. Okay? So up until now, ability kills gave progress, but only if you're giving the final blows. If you're getting an assist with an ability, you're getting 0 progress. That's changing, and now you're getting progress for any kind of assist. You're just getting less progress if you have not touched the enemies with a weapon. The system is a bit convoluted, but this is probably a good change overall. Granting buffs, Radiant, Overshield, etc. to allies will grant a small amount of ammo meter progress when they land final blows while buffed. That's also crazy, I think. Like, you know? I think that is crazy. Now, I don't think those things will spawn bricks. I don't know. Like, I wonder if your bar is almost full, you give someone Radiant, and this person gets a kill. Does that make a brick from the kill that they got? Or does it just fill the bar? I'm not sure. Because if it makes a brick, it might almost be counterproductive in the sense that maybe your teammate is killing something in a spot that you aren't close to or you don't see. So like, could be counterproductive, but overall it's a buff to ammo generation. And I mean, the way I see it, the game should be in a state, or the game is at its best when it's in a state where you're not starving for ammo, but despite having ammo, the game is still hard, right? I don't know if that made sense, but like, I think an encounter being hard because you have to farm ammo is unbelievably cringe. And should never be like the case. So if ammo becomes more abundant, I think that's overall a good thing. Also because that fights the ability meta a tiny bit. That said, the game also shouldn't become a I am maining mint kind of game, or I'm spamming gully, the whole encounter kind of game, right? So they need to hit a certain balance where there is a lot of ammo, and when you get to damage on a boss, you have your ammo, because, again, it's pretty terrible to just, like, not hit a damage check because you run out of ammo, in my opinion. But, on the other hand, they need to pay attention to, you know, not allowing you to spam rockets in ad clear. And it's not easy to do this, like, the main solution is to make it so primaries are closer in damage output to heavies, but they are not doing that. Okay. Fix an issue where glaive projectile kills were not correctly scaled. Sure. Machine guns, a lot of walls were getting less ammo. I didn't know that. Lord of Walls buffs in the big 2025. Those weapons now get more per brick. It doesn't matter. None of those are used. Then they gave more ammo to heavy bar slugs, rapid fire shotties. There is more info on this later on. Less ammo in enhanced bricks for main. This doesn't do anything. That's not even a nerf, like, actually. But again, we can go over this later because there is the full breakdown down below. Then they nerfed those perks that passively give ammo generation by 10. Doesn't really do anything. Like, I don't know why those perks ever gave ammo generation to begin with. So they're still very good to have. Now, in Crucible, they're yapping about Crucible and special ammo. The issue with Crucible and specials is that when you get a brick, the brick spawns on the body you kill, which is terrible, I think. You should just get the ammo passively in PvP, right? Because usually you can't go and get a brick. Well, they're not changing that, so GG's. But they're making it so the brick stays on the ground 60 seconds instead of 30, so I suppose that's good. I think they also stay after you die, but it's still, like, not what they should be doing with ammo in PvP. Okay. Now, here they're going into weapon archetypes. So this part is pretty interesting. They're making it so sidearms are easier to use on MK. So they're making the recoil, like, less annoying on MK because, you know, sidearms are a super controller weapon, so that's good. I won't go into details here because there is no point, I don't think. Submachine guns, they're giving it 10% more stability on controller. I'm not, like, sure. I mean, so submachine guns are very good on controller. Like, the tracking on controller, I'd argue, is better than the tracking on MK. But I do agree that there are to use at range, right? But that's because all weapons on controller have more recoil. At base, like, Bungie woke up and decided to give every weapon more recoil on controller. I think that's, like, always been super stupid, right? You can easily notice this because, like, remember during, like, Crown of Sorrow days when you tried to use Recluse on controller or you tried to use Recluse on MNK. Like, yeah, MNK is easier to control recoil on, but that wasn't the whole issue. Like, weapons genuinely have more recoil on controller, and that's not a good thing. Like, they should have the exact same recoil, in my opinion. So, I'm, like, you know, I think SMGs are already, like, kind of broken on controller, but giving them more stability is still a good thing, in my opinion, right? Like, I'd rather all the weapons have, like, the same stability. Then, if they're too strong, you reduce the aim assist, but not the stability. The stability should be the same. Also because that makes them better in PvE, which is important. Many play PvE on controller. They're buffing a bit rapid fire pulse rifles. Bows, they're buffing bows a bit. Fusions. So here, on fusions, they're doing some... They're basically making all the charge times slower to nerf them in PvP, which I guess it's a good thing. But then they're buffing the damage of some archetypes to compensate. So basically, rapid fires got nerfed. Which, this is interesting because... I don't think fusion rifles need nerfs in PvE. Like, their super regen is completely broken, but That's like an issue across the whole game, right? The actual damage of a fusion rifle in general is not problematic at all. So I would have not nerfed rapid fires, personally. Like if they wanted to nerf the charge time, I would have like added some damage to like keep the DPS the same. Either way, it's not a huge change. Ig impacts though might become really good. They basically gain almost 10% damage buff. Not sure. We're gonna have to see. Now shotguns, they're pretty bad in PvE. Those buffs they're getting are pretty insignificant, I wanna say, for the most part. Like the biggest one is this one where PvE damage bonus goes from 12.5 to 20 on aggressives, but like who is using an aggressive shotgun? I don't think they're very competitive. Might be wrong though. Not sure if they are usable in certain swap rotations. Yeah, okay. Now, slug shotguns. This one is pretty interesting. So they're fixing the broken assault mag on rapid fires, so it's going from plus 50 to plus 20 RPM. So they still kept it like better, plus 20 is a lot. I mean, they're not very competitive though, like rapid fires aren't very good. Probably still a good change though, like plus 50 made no sense. Now, I think they made slugs less strong if you body shot. Like, I'm pretty sure they reduce the damage, increase the range, so you can still crit one shot at the same distance, roughly. But if you body shot, you do less damage, which is probably a good thing. They did a fuck ton of damage with body shots. The craziest patch here, though, I think, is that heavy bar slugs, which were like the double shot, their ammo per brick went from 3 to 6, and from 6 to 12 with enhanced bricks. That's like wild. And enhanced bricks, by the way, are like the bricks you get with 200 weapons that give double progress, right? Double ammo. Now snipers, this is an extremely good change. Reduced flinch receipt from players by 40%. I mean, I never liked the change they made where snipers started flinching a lot, made them unusable and very unfun to use. So yeah, I've always been of the idea that there should be like very little flinch, like there used to be like 3-4 years ago, and that if snipers are ever too oppressive, you just touch the aim assist stat, especially on controller. Like you just reduce the aim assist until you get to a point where, you know, they're good, but they're not oppressive because, yeah, you can't flinch them too much, but they still have to hit their shots. Right? While right now, you can flinch them a lot, but they don't really have to hit their shots because the aim assist is so high, right? Either way, good change because all that flinch was very annoying. Now, rocket pulses. This is like kind of a stupid change, I would say. I mean, first of all, I just don't like how Bungie is so scared to do patch notes, as always, and it's like, you just gotta do what you gotta do, and just if it needs to be done, just do it, right? You cannot just develop the game and make patches on the game while being scared, terrified of Reddit. You know, like the wording on this whole thing is like so scared. I don't know how else to say it. Like they're saying that this shit has like 45% usage rate, and they're like, we feel this is a bit unhealthy and too dominant. A bit, bro? No one has ever equipped anything else this season. Like hello? Yeah, I'm recording, guys. I might put this on YouTube. So, you know, I don't know whether they're so scared. The nerf they're doing doesn't actually do anything, by the way, because first of all, again, we got now ammo from ability assists and we have scout mods, as they are saying. But outside of that, like, they are only nerfing reserves from 18 to 14. I mean, sure, it's a nerf, but like, you can probably do special finishers in most scenarios. Not in every scenario, but in most scenarios you can. Reduced enhanced ammo per brick in PvE from 6 to 5. Damn. They didn't even like nerf like the the base brick, only the enhanced brick from 6 to 5. And it's like, well, that doesn't really change anything. I mean, you would think that them lowering the reserves would also lower the ammo per brick, but it doesn't sound like it. Otherwise, they wouldn't state this part, so I don't know. I think it's boring how Mint is the only usable weapon. I think it's a fun weapon. I like special weapon metas, so I think they should have kept it strong. But I think this just doesn't do anything, right? So if you want to nerf it, just nerf it a bit. Like even like 10-15% nerf, like even something like fairly minor for the kind of weapon it is, you know? But I don't know. Keeping it like this, to me, is pretty boring. And again, just the language is just annoying to me. Like, we don't make this change lightly. Like, bro, I understand you are scared of Reddit, but you gotta make a video game. You know, like, if a patch needs to be made, just make the patch. Like, they are just so scared, bro. I don't even know what else to say. Like, you can read the fear in those lines just because they removed 4 bullets from a rocket field. All good. They reworked how swords work. Now when you have no ammo, it's like a swing, it's not a melee. You can't do that bullshit where you can like stack melee buffs and stuff like that. Okay. Ace of Spade. So here they're like going over exotics, and this part is very odd because while I really like exotic buffs, you're gonna like see with me, but it feels like they buffed like 30 exotics. And most of the changes don't do anything, and then there are 2 of them that are completely game breaking. So it's like, well, okay, bro. Or this is one of them. Either way. So Ace does a bit more damage in PvE, a bit more range. Ain't no one equipping Ace of Spade because he got a 12% buff on the explosion. But all good, you know? Like, Sunshot is in the game. Oakmoon now does a bit more damage before you have the special shot. That's a pretty good buff. I still don't think anyone is using that, but I think that's a good buff, so like I'm okay with this. Now Striga, like, dude, this is probably the most out of touch thing I've read in the whole article. We're halving the Striga poison burst cooldown and seeing where this lands. This is a weapon that can dominate the PvE meta. No, it cannot. No, it cannot do that. Like, I promise you, it can't. The reason why this weapon was good was because without Thread of Generation worked, you could get infinite grenades on Strand, and you could use Striga with the infinite Suspend Titan build, right? Pretty much. Like, you could get infinite Shackle grenades, which gave you Woven Mail because you had those boots that give you Woven when you suspend things. So, like, Striga was good because you were applying DOT to many targets and getting a grenade back faster. The damage it did was never that good. The ad clear was okay. I mean, 3 years have passed and we have unbelievable power craft Striga. Like, stuff like Sunshot, Graviton Lance completely gap Striga and it's not even close. The DOT damage did over time was like, it's just not that good. I think it was better and they nerfed that too, I don't remember. And yeah, also ain't no one using that with Necrotic Creeps. Like, no one is putting, like, if you want to be serious about the game, you're not investing your exotic slot on Necrotic Creeps for Striga. Like, that's not high value compared to using an actual exotic, right? So, this is very out of touch. And for me personally, even if they fully remove the cooldown, I still think no one will use the weapon. Like, genuinely, I don't know if I'm wrong. I'd like to hear opinions on this, even in the comments and stuff, but like, in the current sandbox, no one is using Striga over Graviton Lance, even if you like remove the cooldown. Because the weapon just like, isn't as good. I don't know. Or maybe some people will use it, but like, it will not be overkill at all to remove the cooldown. So the fact that they're halving it and they're scared shows some very lack of understanding of the sandbox, I would say. What's the ammo gen stat? 30 ammo generation! 30 ammo generation! GG. By the way, that's another topic. I'm not gonna go over this today, but I don't like how primaries have a very different ammo generation stat. Like, surely it should be to a point where most primaries have a high ammo gen, specials have a pretty average ammo gen, and heavies have a low ammo gen, right? Like, why are many primaries having such a huge difference in ammo gen stat? You know, like, it doesn't make any sense. They should all be quite similar because they're primaries. Now, Suros. I didn't understand this part because it could already be special reloaded to swap between the mode, right? Or did you have to go to the inventory? Or maybe you had to go to the inventory, actually. Never mind. And depending on the mode, you get either bonus special progress or bonus heavy progress. No one cares, bro. Like, ain't no one using Suros in PvE. And in PvP, this probably doesn't matter. Oh, good. Revision 0, that's a pretty good buff. Anti-stress rounds now create a small damaging shockwave and exhaust targets on impact. I mean, is this basically kinetic tremors? Depending on how much damage this does, this could go insane. And exhausting is also good, so like that's a very strong buff, I think. I like this a lot. I'm still waiting for the day where they allow you to take away the sniper shots. Not that usually you would want to, but I hate how you can have like 3 sniper shots, fire 2 of them, and then if you want to like go back to the pulse rifle, you can't. And you gotta like shoot your sniper at the air. Like, I'd be even fine with losing my extra bullets of the sniper, but like, let me go back to the pulse rifle if I can, please. Okay. Touch of Malice. Increase the amount of healing provided by the intrinsic. Reduce the number of kills needed to trigger the healing. And activating Charge with Blight will now fire the healing pools. What do they mean by fire? Like activate, I guess. Well, I think that's pretty good. It's just more healing procs while you use it, so maybe it's like less risky. Still though, like the weapon is so mid to bad. Touch of Malice, for how risky it is, should be one of those weapons where if you're out of ammo, it just gaps. And it's just not, right? Pretty sure Outbreak is better. I mean, Barrow Dyad probably destroys this thing. Granted, Touch of Malice has more range, but still. Okay, Collective Obligation. Well, this one, I don't understand. I don't know how the weapon works, bro. I might have never shot it, so I'm actually not sure. Added a very slow rate of leeching effects off unaffected targets. Like, I think if you shoot targets, like, you gain the debuffs over time and then you can apply the debuffs. But do you have to, like... I wonder if you have to special reload after a bit, or you can just like keep shooting the same target and you will start applying debuffs on him. Because if that's the case, that's pretty good. But, I mean, the weapon just kind of lacks a flow. It's a pretty weird weapon. You know, I don't think this is getting used, but I'm glad they're buffing it, I guess. Symmetry. Now builds Bolt Charge and now can spend Bolt Charge, depending on those dynamic charge stacks. I don't remember how this works. That's cool, I guess. Doesn't matter. You know, like, some of those changes are like, yeah, that's cool, bro. Doesn't matter. Like, and I've said this in the past, I don't understand why you would buff, like, 30 different weapons, and 27 of them are still not gonna get used. Like, if you are spending dev time to buff a weapon, why don't you buff it in a way where there is actually a reason to use it? And if that takes you more time because you need to make a more complex change, instead of buffing 27 of them, you could buff like 8 of them and actually make like a good buff, right? So I'm very confused when I read like stuff like most of those, like the Suros change, like what are we doing? All good though. Now still aren't this one, like I'm generally upset about this because I've always said like the vision I have for Destiny is a game where like I think Destiny is at its best where you can play any class and still do good damage. Like I'm convinced, especially for many casual players that only have one character, feeling like you have the wrong character and you can't do max damage is a terrible feeling. I don't think that's a not take, you know? Like, I'm sure many people don't feel very good right now to run like a Desert Perpetual and be like, damn, I'm doing terrible damage because I'm not a Titan spamming 5 Thunder Crashes, yeah, you know? And like, and yeah, I know you can do like crazy things with like Sanguine, Needle Storm, but that's beyond the point. Like, you know, there are only very specific setups that can do damage, and that's bad. Like, your damage should mainly come from your weapons, and no matter the class or the build you use, you should still be able to inflict good damage to a boss. Obviously, there's always going to be a meta, but there shouldn't be an insane gap between what you use and what you should use. And now we're having this. Like, I want to point out that this weapon was so unbelievably broken that like most teams swapped to 5 Hunters or more for Witness day 1. And then they nerfed the weapon by, what, 25%? And the weapon was still good. Like, let's make this clear. The weapon is still one of the craziest weapons in the game. And there is only one reason, and only one reason, why it's not used more often. Or I guess 2 reasons. One is, it's often harder to like, always crit a boss. But the main reason is, Stillant is a sniper, and snipers don't generate any super. Okay? So that's the reason why the gun doesn't get used. It's not because it's bad, it's not because the DPS is bad, but it's because in a meta where your damage comes from spamming 5 supers, you're not gonna use a weapon that generates 0 super energy because the system is terrible and doesn't get you any supers besides the very first one you start with, right? So that's the main reason why Stillant doesn't get used. In fact, where is Stillant good? On Witness. And why is Stillant good on Witness? It's because it's one of the 2 bosses in the game that don't gen super. So in any boss where you don't gen super and you can crit, Stillant is already a good weapon. Buffing it by 40% is just stupid. Like, that is way too much. I don't even care about allowing Sniper's Meditation to buff it. I think that's fine. It's a seasonal mod, so I don't see why not. But I don't know. Bot things at once don't make sense to me. Like, you just don't want to force a meta with it, and the way it is now, they're forcing a meta with it. So maybe we're not all using Mint, now we're using Mint and Stillant, I guess. Again, we're gonna have to see because it depends how much you can super spam and stuff like that, but yeah. Now, yeah, I don't know. Like, this is just confusing. Anyways, my main issues with Stillant are the fact that it's an anti-exotic. Like, I've said it in the past, if you want to make this the most broken weapon in the game, because it's like a lore weapon or whatever, I don't even care. I mean, probably shouldn't be buffed by 40%. But even if you want to buff it by like 20%, that's fine. Just make it equal on every class. Like, I just don't care about the Celestial lore interaction. Like, that's just stupid. If you want to make a strong sniper, just make it strong on every class. Limiting it to only one class is just weird. Like, that's the main thing I don't like. Also, by the way, there is absolutely zero reason to buff the damage by 40% only on Hunter. Like, if they're buffing the damage, just buff Still Hunt's damage. Like, Nighthawk is giving you the single shot, which gives you more DPS because you only have to fire one shot instead of 3. You can still make the gun not worthless on the other classes. You know, like... But I guess that's too hard. Now, Widowed, that's a good change. Reduce the autoloading timer from 3.5 to 2 seconds. That's gonna feel very nice. Still no idea why they aren't reverting the pull on the ground nerf. The pull on the ground nerf should 1,000,000,000% be reverted. The weapon will still not even be that good. So yeah, very confusing. This does not make Widowed good. It makes it feel nicer to use, but doesn't change anything. Duality, damn. Crazy change, bro. Reduced hip fire spread by 6%. Chaperone. Change Chaperone to use the rapid fire slug frame. Damage and the rate of fire profile. So they basically want to nerf Chaperone in PvP. Are they buffing it in PvE? I guess the frame change is a buff according to them. Ruinous Effigy. Catalyst now grants 30% damage buff to the trace when killing anything with a transmutation orb. Oh god, bro. Ain't no one using that. Like, I don't know. I mean, I guess certain exotics are just meant to be niche, but I still... I don't know. Izanagi's Burden. Special reload once again scales with reload speed stat. I think that's actually the best patch here. That's cool as fuck. Like, Easy was pretty much dead in the current sandbox, and it's a very cool weapon with a very high skill gap. So I think that's cool. They nerfed this back in Garden days because the damage rotations were people just like reload canceling Easy like crazy. But I feel like the game has evolved so much to the point where re-allowing this won't break anything. It will actually just be very cool. So yeah, you can maybe see some Easy swaps build getting used. The issue is that, again, this generates quite literally 0 super energy. And I hate to like have to take this into consideration, but like, it's just so crazy. Like, if you had to generate a super using Easy, it would probably take you like 20 minutes. Well, if you have to generate a super with a fusion rifle, it will take you like 25 seconds. So I don't know when they will actually just wake up and either reduce super regen on bosses or standardize it across weapon types. Like, it's unironically top 3 issues with the game and why the sandbox feels terrible. But yeah, here we are. Either way, very cool change. I'm sure some rotations will be viable with this, because it's gonna add you like a lot of swap DPS to have this. Tessellation. Damn. Holy yapping. What are we cooking here? Final blows now grant 2.5% light and dark transcendence energy. And bonus time to transcendence while active. I guess on top of the on top of the time you already get with kills. Fixed an issue where transcendent grenade chunk energy gains were not scaling based on the grenade stat. I don't even know what that means. I don't know what that means. I guess I probably don't know how the weapon works. And now you do 25% more damage when you're transcendent. That's actually a crazy buff, I think. Like, I don't think the weapon was bad at all for like burst damage option. So 25% is very good. And then you can specially reload with 0 in the mag. Yeah, the rest doesn't really matter, I don't think. I mean, faster reload, that's cool. Deathbringer. Reduce the spread of the secondary cluster munition after they are created. I guess that's good for burst DPS, bad for ad clear, but no one uses this for ad clear. I think the gun is still pretty bad though in the current sandbox, so there's that. Probably should have given it like at least a 10% extra damage. Black Talon now suppresses on it. It can spread if the target is already suppressed. 10% damage boost per void debuff on target. I mean, nice buff, I guess, but I don't think this really changes anything. Like, I'm not equipping it. Deterministic Chaos. Releasing the trigger after a Vexadecimal projectile pulls 10 rounds into the magazine from reserves. I think that's cool, but like, do you actually like need to release the trigger after 12 shots? Like, do you need to be precise? If you have to be precise with it, that's kind of cool. Like, counting the shots, I guess. That's a good buff. Like, if you need to weaken or extend, like, a debuff or something, I think that's cool. Yeah, like, in a situation like Witness, not that it ever was correct to, like, run a div on Witness, right? For example, on day 1, we were kind of cooked and we had a div on just to 15% weaken on a Warlock, since Hunters were doing most of the damage. That's because using Deterministic Chaos just feels terrible, but like with this, yeah. In a situation like Witness where the div doesn't really increase the crit sides, it can definitely bring value, I think, so that's a good change. Word line. I don't think I've read this. Yeah, I actually haven't read those things here, so that's new for me. So Tesseract is doing less damage, they're fixing the bug. Oh, they're buffing it by 40%. Is it gonna be good? I wonder if that's gonna be good. I mean, probably not. It's a sword. I don't think you can go too crazy right-clicking, but... interesting? I don't know. I just have no idea how good word line is. I don't think it's good, though. It doesn't even get wolf bucks from Ergosam, right? Wolfsbane. Wolfsbane is pretty bad right now. Increase damage of light attacks by 8.5%. Increases nano assault duration from 10 to 12. Increase the swarm nado damage by 20%. Oh, that's pretty good. And now you can charge the nanites faster. I mean, good buffs, but I think it is pretty bad still. Rangefinder. Nodes provides plus 10 range while aiming down sight. Okay. Rampage. Now loses only 1 stack of damage buff when the timer expires. That's broken. I feel like that's like crazy good for Rampage. Not that you ever really use Rampage, but like... I don't know, it's a super strong buff, I think. I don't remember how much Rampage is at max stacks now. They changed it so many times. Box breathing. So they're tuning how it is so it doesn't scale differently depending on weapon type. Box breathing now provides a flat 40% buff to your next shot's precision damage for all existing weapon types, and 30% for the new heavy ammo sniper. This works out to be a buff of around 10% for existing sniper and linears and a small nerf for scout rifles. Will this affect Whisper or is that like a different thing? That's whispered breathing, right? So shouldn't. Unlucky, bro. Where's the Whisper buff? I mean, if I were in them, bro, I don't know how good the heavy sniper is, but I would have made this 40% too. Like, fuck it, you know? Like, just make the new things good, and then, like, if they're too good, you can nerf them. I think the new things should be good. Either way, probably a good change. The thing is, like, even with 40%, it doesn't really, like, make the perk that good. I would have almost made this 50, dude. Do you think that's too much? If it's for one shot, I think making this 50 isn't even crazy. Holy yapping. Should I even read this? I don't know if I'm gonna read this, bro. Yeah, I don't even know what shot swap is. Oh, good. Slate of Hand. Yeah, I don't know what that is. What are the perks? Oh, good, bro. The video is already too long. Bray Legacy, okay, this is important. I think I saw a screenshot of this. Increase gains from rocket launchers from 10 to 17 per rocket. No longer activates from explosions caused by perks or from Galler and Micro Missile. I mean, that makes sense. So they fixed the rocket giving you infinite grenades, which was the best DPS in the game right now, right? Because it was more DPS than Mint by a good margin. You could spam Storm Nades or like the Trailing Nades, and it will also give you crazy super regen. So, I mean, that had to go, so makes sense. Kinda sad that they made it 17%. I feel like if you custom tune it for rockets, I don't think it's crazy to make this like 25%-ish. Again, that's only on the ability that's least charged. I feel like they could have done more, but oh good. Fixed an issue where Vistinger wasn't working on Vist fusion rifles or shotguns. I didn't know. Bewildering Burst. Oh, that's a PvP change. It's the new perk that like disorients. Okay, I mean, I think I yapped for way too long. The TLDR is, this is not a bad article. I just hope they get rid of new gear bonus soon. And I mean, I don't even know what the notable changes are. Like, the rocket pulse rifle change doesn't really do anything. It really doesn't. Also, the exotic one is unaffected, by the way. I don't know, like, there are a bunch of worthless changes, I guess, like Ruinous Effigy. A bunch of pretty good changes, like Tessellation or like, I guess, Widowed. Revision 0 is a good change. I think Easy is a very good change. You know? And then the Still Ant one is just stupid, like, I don't know. Again, I'm not against buffing it, just not by 40%, not only on Hunter. That is just weird. Also because this means they will never fix this broken meta where you throw 8 supers per damage phase. Right? Because if they ever do fix the meta, and you can't spam supers anymore, then Hunters are the only one allowed to do any damage. So like, is that them admitting that the meta from now on will just be 5 Thunder Crush per phase? You get what I'm saying? Because if they ever nerf super regen, like they should, then what are we doing if we're not playing Hunter, right? I don't know. Div meta incoming. Well, I mean, ultimately this is gonna shake the meta a decent bit. So overall, I'm happy. I'm happy the patch came, and I would say I am. It's overall a good patch, and I'm happy about most things. Which isn't something I say often. Oh, the ammo changes are very good. Yeah, I went over those, but those are juiced. I wonder how much a scout brick will give. Alright, well, yeah, this video is probably an hour long, but all good. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a good day.